Welcome everyone to the February 4th Town of Monroe Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting. It is now 7:02 p.m. and we're about to begin. Just going to read the information. On March 14th, 2020, in response to the COVID-19 pandemic and in an effort to reduce the risk of transmission by virtue of attendance at public meetings, Governor Lamont suspended in-person open meeting requirements. Accordingly, the town of Monroe has selected GoToMeeting. This technology will permit up to 250 members of the public to participate. Any member of the public that wishes to submit written information relative to the business set forth on the agenda may do so up to 1 hour in advance. Notice is hereby given that this electronic remote meeting shall permit the public to view and listen anonymously, and when permitted, participate in real time. 2, be recorded and posted in the town's website within 7 days, and 3, be made available to the public within a reasonable amount of time. In addition to the standard parliamentary procedures as outlined in this agenda, the following special rules shall apply. Please mute your microphone so as to reduce background noise. Anytime you are not speaking, prior to speaking and on each occasion, each speaker shall clearly state their name and title. For the record, the use of the chat feature is prohibited. I don't see Bruno. I see Bruno. I don't see Leon. So I'm going to call the roll. This is Michael O'Reilly, Chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Please, when I call your name, just orally acknowledge that you're here. Bruno Maini.
Here.
Ryan Condon.
Here.
Leon Ambrosi. Rob Westland.
I am here.
Ron Schneider.
Here.
Dominic Panici.
Here.
Nicole Lupo. Absent. William Agresta is absent. Georgia Cantois.
Here.
Rick Schultz.
Here.
I don't think Barbara will be at tonight's meeting. And Sarah Stroud.
Here.
Okay. So since Leon's not here, Ryan, who do we seat?
I believe it is Ron's turn. Nicole was last.
Well, Ron's not. Oh, is Ron here? I don't see him. It did say
Yes,
here, didn't it?
Here.
Oh, there you are, down in the corner. Okay, great.
Oh, Leon just logged
Never
on.
mind. Ron, you're going to just have to wait. All right, so let's go to public hearings now. We have a lot of public hearings tonight, site plan development and deliberation. So we need to move along with them, please. First, yes. Rick? First public hearing is number 4 on the agenda, SCP 2020-01, file number 16218. That has been withdrawn, at least temporarily. Second item on the agenda is number 5, ZCA 2020-03, file number 1016D, 1585 Monroe Turnpike, proposed SB2 district and redevelopment mastery plan. And this is for Stevenson Lumber, and this is the ZCA. This is the zone boundary change. We already have a RAA, a text amendment for this applicant, which has been closed and is pending deliberations. Do you have anything new on this, Rick?
Yes, we have new exhibits, which are exhibit number 20, updated narrative, 21, updated site plans, 22, applicant response to planning administrator, Exhibit 23, applicant's response to engineering. Exhibit number 24, Conservation Commission comments. And Exhibit 25, updated landscaping plans. That is all.
Okay, and for the applicant,
Yeah, this is Larry Edwards, professional engineer, 227 Stepney Road in Easton. We obviously have presented this application in basically the same format that we have here tonight. I'm not going to go into any great detail unless the commission specifically, wants us to go into a little more detail. But, we responded to all of the comments from the town engineer and from the planning administrator. We have submitted new plans and to address those comments. And we have also submitted a new landscape plan, which was in response to the Conservation Commission's comments that we just basically received the other day. So we have not received any other comments back from the town engineer or the administrator. So what I'm going to do is just very quickly, there's really only one major item that we changed in terms of the plans and the engineering documents, and that is the turnaround, which was for the private driveway that was going to come in. Previously, that came in. It was a little bit longer, and it had a balanced, approach to the turnaround. We basically revised it. The primary reason was to try to get a better approach into what we're calling building number 2. And so we put it over to the one side, which gave us a little more length to get a driveway down a little better down into the to building 2. And we've updated and provided some additional schematic, because again, these are going to be part of the individual site development plans, but we have shown some what would most likely be the parking layouts for those buildings, and showed the entrances into the private road, private driveway for those. And that's really the only major items we've included or changed on the actual engineering documents. There is some issues on, we made some changes to the narratives. We made some other changes to the submitted information, but I think that's pretty self-explanatory. And John Kimball is going to speak a little bit to that at the end. And at this point, I mean, if there's any questions from the engineering standpoint from the commission, we'd be happy to answer them at this point.
all right, then I'll poll the commission right now. Now, if you have any questions regarding the text amendment, I think this might be, even though it's closed, this might be a good time to ask him, because we really can't ask later. So we'll start with Dominic Panici.
This is my site, so they're going to vote on it within the next 20 minutes.
Dominic, do you have any questions?
I have no question. Thank you.
Okay. And I know Ron Schneider's here. Do you have any questions or comments? All right, Rob Westland.
I have no questions at this time.
And then Leon Ambrosi. Leon's here.
Yeah. No, I don't have any questions at this time.
Okay, Ryan Condon,
No questions.
Bruno Maini.
No questions at this time.
Okay, we'll go to Rick Schultz.
No comments, Mr. Chairman.
So the comments for town staff were answered to your satisfaction?
Yes.
All right, then as this is a public hearing, we're going to go to the public.
Excuse me, Chairman.
Yes.
We have the landscape planner that would like, I was just trying to get the engineering part out from the commission. The landscape architect has a few comments that she made in response to the conservation. And then I think there's some statements that John Kimball wants to make. So at this point, if we could turn it over to them, and then we can turn it to the public after everybody speaks.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hi,
Tracy.
good evening. For the record, this is Tracy Shalifo, landscape architect with Tracy Shalifo LLC. I'm just going to run through the revisions since the latest set of plans you've seen briefly. The overall planting layout was shifted ever so slightly just to reflect the revisions of the shortened turnaround area. We still have a similar number of plants. And also as a reminder, a part of this application is to remove areas of existing pavement and return it to green space in the form of lawn, planting beds, canopy trees, etc. We received the comments from the Monroe Conservation and Water Resource Commission. And in response to that, we've increased the number of plans on this alternative plan that you see before you, increased the number of native plantings. Previously, it was about 12 or 13%, and we expect ultimately to increase that number to probably at least 80%. And the landscape plan will be a combination of this alternative that you see before you, which is very heavy with native plants, and the previously proposed planting plan, which had some non-native. Just for the record, none of the plants on any of these drafts are invasive. They're natives, and then there are some non-natives. And you know, we acknowledge the benefit of the native plantings because they provide biodiversity, they support our birds and mammals and our pollinators, and that, of course, is an important part of any sort of improvement that we propose. So those are the primary changes that we have between the last plan that you saw and this plan here. Again, the planting layout really hasn't changed. We're still going to have the privacy berm along Monroe Turnpike that you see to the east of building number 2. We're going to have a heavy canopy of trees lining the driveway and all the way around to the turnaround. We're going to accentuate the driveway entrance to the north at building 1 with native trees and underplantings, layering of shrubs and perennials. And also, of course, the main entrance drive will have some framing to it in the form of plantings. And then at the Old Door Road entrance, there's also some plantings proposed. That's at the left-hand side of this sheet. And some evergreen screen plantings to the west to give that neighbor some privacy. So I think that covers our revisions. If there are any questions, please let me know.
All right, let's finish with the presentation before we go to questions.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, as far as we're concerned, I think this is John Kimball for the record, 262 Westport Road. I think we're excited to see this property redeveloped. We're pleased with the landscape design. We welcome the comments that we've had along the way during the process. We're excited to, we've now got a letter of intent from a company that wants to do refrigerated warehouse and storage in the second building on the site. things seem to be already looking up for the property in terms of having actual tenant interest. They're very excited to get going and want to go very quickly. So I guess we'll, since it's a public hearing, we'll hear what the neighbors' comments are and any additional comments, and then we'll offer a summary at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kimball. Are there any members of the public here tonight that would like to comment on this application? Once again, are there any members of the public here tonight that would like to comment on this application? If not, then we'll go back to Mr. Kimball for a summation and direction.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. John Kimball for the record. Again, we've been working at this diligently with the commission for 2 years now. We have gone through many iterations, and I think it's been a very good combined effort between ourselves and the commission. And we are excited to see this property be brought back to life. We we have one actual signed letter of intent, and we are negotiating with some other companies on several of the other buildings. So it looks like it will very quickly turn into a vibrant, tax-paying, productive property that will no longer be vacant and derelict. And we will be able to really increase the view shed of the property for the town of Monroe and create something that is a very positive gateway entrance to the town with our new landscape plan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kimball. Would you like to close the hearing?
Yeah, as long as there are no other questions that I invite the commission to ask any other questions that may be outstanding. But yeah, we're ready to close the hearing.
Are there any commissioners that have any questions at this point?
Yeah, Commissioner Ambrosi, I just have a question to ask Rick. Do we have an updated landscaping plan?
That is correct. The applicant has met all of the recommendations of staff.
Do we have it in our file here?
Georgia, can you help me out on that one? Because John, when was that submitted?
Hey, Rick. Yeah, John Kimball for the record. To answer Commissioner Ambrosi's question through the chair, we received comments from the Conservation Commission yesterday requesting a switch to native species from non-native species. And so we submitted a revised plan electronically to the town in order to show that we could basically provide the same landscape layout that we sent earlier, using native species as substitutions for the non-native species. So it's merely a plant list. I mean, it was a full set of plans, but we were basically responding to the Conservation Commission's comments, which unfortunately we only received yesterday. And all they were looking for was an increase in native plant species, which we were easily able to accommodate.
But Leon, to answer your question, staff has received it.
But we don't have it, right?
And I don't know if the commission received it because we just received it.
Okay, well, I just was looking for that, and because I noticed that the Conservation Commission had an issue with the plants, and I just wanted to see the plan. The plan hasn't changed in any way besides what you use for plants that were on there?
Yeah, they replaced it with a majority of native species.
Okay, but the planting plan stays the same?
Yes, it's just the selection type.
Okay, and then the other question I had to ask was when you get this approval, Johnny, you're gonna put these plantings in right away?
Yeah.
Because the buildings aren't changing, right?
So, yeah, John Kimball for the record. Yeah, we included in the, as part of our response to the comments to the planner, we include a phasing narrative.
Yeah.
Which basically shows, like, the first step is to, build the berms along Route 111 and install the plantings along Route 111, remove the fence, that kind of thing. The second step would be to do the plantings along, regrade the driveway and do the plantings along the driveway. And so, but basically the way the phasing narrative works is that in order to get tenants into particular buildings, we have to do the plantings related and the improvements related to those buildings according to the phasing schedule. So, but before anything happens on the property, we basically committed to doing the landscape plans along Route 111 and getting those plants in right away. We're just, as soon as the snow melts, we'll be out planting if we get an approval.
Okay.
Do any of the commissioners have any other questions? All right, then we did not hear from the public. So then at this point, I'm going to close the hearing. Next on the agenda, number 6 is RAA 2020-07, file number 1014E. This is a zoning text amendment, elderly affordable housing district. Rick, do we have any new exhibits? This is a continued public hearing.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, as the commission is aware, we have 3 applications that are all related. We have new exhibits for the site development plan 2020-05, file 145. Exhibit number 8, engineering report. Exhibit number 9, traffic design. Exhibit 10, applicant response to town comments. Exhibit 11, updated plan sheet. And Exhibit 12, Inland Wetlands Commission approval. We're waiting for the wetlands approval, and that has happened.
No wetlands approval as of yet?
No, we received the wetlands approval.
Oh, we have. Okay, good. All right. And then do we have someone from the affordable housing here tonight to continue?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. David Hoops, attorney in Hartford, on behalf of the applicant. Since the last meeting, as Mr. Schultz just noted, we submitted written responses to all of the town engineer's comments. And we've also submitted a revised layout plan and a revised underground utility plan reflecting comments by the town engineer. I would like to note that in almost all cases, we adopted in full town engineer's comments. There's one exception that I just want to stress, and my traffic engineer, Joe Balskis, mentioned this last time. Mr. Schatzley had suggested that we make Old Main Street one-way. And as Mr. Bauskas, our traffic engineer, had mentioned, he has communicated extensively with DOT about this project. And DOT needs Old Main to stay two-way to accommodate their snowplows. So we would ask that the commission not make it a condition that Old Main be restricted to one-way, that it be two-way, which is what we show on our plans. What we'd like to do is, in a moment, ask our landscape architect rather, Emily Weckman, just briefly run through changes to the layout plan. It would probably make sense for Mr. Forkland to talk about changes to his underground utility plan, picking up on town engineer's comments. But before I turn it over to them, a couple quick points I'd like to make is, as Mr. Schultz mentioned, we do now have the wetlands approval letter, and if it's necessary, I'd like to formally move that into the record or note that it's part of the record. I'd like to mention, just reiterate that because of HUD requirements, the age of the residents should be restricted to 62 and older. And I'd also like to reinforce again that we do need this building to be 3 stories in order for the project to be viable from an economic sense. So with that, I like to ask Emily Weckman if she could talk about the changes to the layout plan.
Thank you, Dave. Georgia, may I share my screen? Okay. Good evening. I am Emily Weckman. I'm the landscape architect with 2 Design, located at 114 West Main Street in New Britain. I'm here tonight representing Connecticut Housing Partners on this application for 195, 201, and 211 Main Street. As Dave mentioned, we did receive our inland wetlands approval dated January 19th, 2021. Next, the team did submit revised plans last week. You should have these plans in front of you tonight. These plans incorporate all comments received from the Inland Wetland Commission and the town engineer, except for the comment that Mr. Hoops mentioned regarding Old Main Street becoming a one-way street. Comments addressed in the revised plan include the recommended sidewalk connection to Route 25, radius adjustments at the intersection, erosion and control adjustments, an additional catch basin, depiction of underground utilities, and revisions to the drainage report. To quickly summarize the proposed design, and as presented at the previous meeting, the project would add 49 units of much needed affordable senior housing to the Monroe community. The proposed 3-story New England building is located to the north, while a 59-car parking lot will accommodate residents and visitors to the south. The 3-story building is essential for this project to work, as the site constraints of size and existing slopes prevent further building footprint expansion. However, we hope you would agree with us. That you agree with us that Crossheat Architects has done a great job designing the exterior of the building so it fits in with the vernacular of Monroe. The integration of subtle changes of materials visually reduces the impact of a traditional 3-story building. The building will be constructed as slab on grade to minimize excavation needs. The access drive to the north connecting to Old Main Street will be a proposed T intersection to Route 25, and the team has been in discussions with DOT, and this is the preferred intersection alignment and shows Old Main Street to remain 2 ways. We will continue to work with DOT through our encroachment application, and it's here where we will locate the recommended frontage sidewalk as recommended by the city engineer. The development of this affordable senior housing offers seniors within the community and region an option to age in place, which we feel would strengthen the Monroe community as a whole. I'll pass it over to Dave Borkland if he has any, who is our engineer, if he has any comments regarding the revisions to his plan. And otherwise, Dave, if you don't have any comments that you would like to add, we can pass it over to the commission for any questions.
Thank you, Emily. Dave Bjorklund, the civil engineer for this application. No, I don't have, I just want to let the commission know we did update the plans to show the utility connections, and we have submitted to the town engineer a drainage engineering report that I believe satisfies his requirements and his that were outlined in his letter. Again, I'll be here to answer any questions that any of the commission members may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bjorklund. I'd like to poll the commissioners at this point for any questions. And we'll start with Commissioner Panici.
I just have one question regarding the two-way. I'm sure a lot of thought must have gone to it as far as the radius coming in from. Just go over that for me a little bit more.
I apologize, the audio broke up while you were asking your question. I believe you were talking about the radius of the intersection along here, correct?
Yeah. No, on the other end, please. Are you going to be using that as the street as a two-way? The old street as a two-way?
Yes, it's currently existing a two-way street, and per DOT request for them to continue to use it as a maintenance snowplow turnaround, it will remain a two-way street.
My only concern is, as it stands right now, very little traffic goes both ways. So are you anticipating a lot of traffic as a two-way?
No, the main purpose is as requested by DOT. They would like it to remain two-way and a two-way road for their snow plows to continue on their turnaround route for maintenance reasons.
Okay. Thank you for the explanation.
Okay, Commissioner Schneider.
Okay, go to the top right.
Mm-hmm.
Can you put the phone closer to the top right? Okay, hold on.
Whoever
press
that
the
is,
settings.
please mute your microphone.
The gearbox?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what that say?
Georgia, can you mute that?
Because everything's on.
Okay, go back a little, I can't see it.
Audio, see?
Yeah.
Computer. Microphone.
Georgia?
How about on your computer, on your keyboards?
What about on my keyboard?
On your keyboard, is there a microphone?
Angela Rizzio, we can hear you speaking.
That's better. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan.
Then to the rescue.
We're going to go with questions, comments to Commissioner Schneider.
No questions.
And then we'll go to Commissioner Westland.
I have no questions.
Commissioner Ambrosi.
Yeah, do you have a letter from DOT that states that they want that a two-way?
Yes, David Hoops. We don't have a letter. DOT won't do anything official until after local approvals are obtained. But our traffic engineer has been in extensive contact with them. They're pretty adamant about wanting it two-way.
Well, so they wouldn't give you any documentation saying that they wanted it
Play
two-way.
button. Go to the right button. It's like the fourth button on the right, on the top right.
They won't give you anything official until they won't consider an application for an encroachment permit, curb cut permit until after you get your local approval. So they won't. I don't want to say for sure, I'm not the traffic engineer, that you can't get an email or something informal. But it wouldn't be a formal binding approval anyway. So all you can do is talk to them and find out what they'll approve in the end.
Okay. And my next question is for David Jordan. Dave, on your reserve, did you get on the reserve you have, is the health department satisfied with the amount of the reserve?
Commissioner Ambrosio, Dave Bjorklund for the record. Again, as with DOT, the health department only gives an informal, the local health department gives their response at this level. And they made no
You don't want to do that because that's going to let them hear you talk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
about the reserve. There's a couple of things that
Mm-hmm.
happen
Yeah.
in a system of this size. In the local
Can you
approval,
show me the screen?
Hold on, Dave.
Angela Rizzio, you're gonna have to mute your microphone. We're gonna have to take you out of this call tonight. All right, go ahead.
okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This system is beyond the approval range of the local health department, and it has to be approved by the state health department. And the 100% reserve area is required both on the local and on the state level. And because this is a larger septic system, the reserve area has to be improved, which means that if there's select fill required, which there is, that fill has to go in at the time of construction, so that if down the road something does happen, the fill is there and we're ready to install a new system. So I think all bases are covered. We have 100% reserve area, and the next level of approval, once local approval is obtained, would be from the state health department.
Okay, and so if stuff changes at the state, you'll have to come back in front of us?
Quite possibly, if there was a radical change that, changed the parking lot, or, something, drastic, if the system were to go from the south end of the property to the north end of the property. I don't think I've ever had a septic system, an approval come back. We've already reviewed this with both the state and the local health department. I don't anticipate any big changes. We may move the system up or down 6 inches, but that does not require coming back to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's go to Commissioner Condon.
Yeah, I was kind of an afterthought, but is there any outdoor area for the residents? And I guess a second part to that, are pets going to be allowed?
I can speak to the first part, Emily Weckman with 2 Design. Yes, there is an outdoor patio here located at the south end of the site, so they will have the southern sunshine coming in. This outdoor patio space, as you can see in the rendering, does have the option for the outdoor fireplace, and it has an overhang there for the residents. And I will pass it to Steve regarding pets.
As far as I know, we don't allow pets in any of our residences, at least not dogs and cats. I don't know about like fish and birds and that kind of thing, but
I specifically was thinking dogs for, if there was an area for people to their dogs and stuff like that, but then the goldfish are fine. All right, thank you.
Okay.
Commissioner Maini.
No questions.
And I have no questions. Rick, have all the issues been addressed on the engineer and the other review team's comments to your satisfaction?
Yes, all of the comments have been addressed by the applicant. And I think they're ready to give their closing remarks.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask members of the public here tonight, if there are any members that would like to comment on this application. Now is the time to make yourself known. Are there any members of the public here tonight that would like to comment on this application? Hearing none, then I'll take it back to Mr. Hoops, if you'd like to sum up and give us direction for tonight.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. We appreciate your time and your attention. In summation, we believe and we certainly hope you will agree that this is an extremely attractive, well-designed project situated on a site that's very suitable for it, where neighbor impacts are inherently minimized, and that it will be a real benefit to town of Monroe and the region by enhancing much needed housing opportunities for seniors in Monroe and the surrounding area. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And if there are no other questions from the commissioners or staff, then I'm going to close these 3 hearings. REA 2020-07, ZCA 2020-04, and SPD 2020-05 will hereby be closed. Next on the agenda is a new public hearing, ZCA 2020-05, file number 1018D, 5 Victoria Drive. This is a zone boundary change. Ryan, do you have the public listing?
Yes. Planning and Zoning Commission, Monroe, Connecticut. Notice of public hearing to be held February 4th, 2021 in accordance with CGS 8-7D. Public hearing will be held on Thursday, February 4th, 2021 at 7 p.m. or soon thereafter via GoToMeeting and via phone. ZCA 2020-05, file number 1018D, 5 Victoria Drive, zone boundary change petition. Application proposing rezoning for a property located at 5 Victoria Drive, Accessor Map 4, Lot 37, from currently zoned Industrial District I2 and I3 to Business District 2 B2, totaling 8.26 acres of currently developed land. Oliver Marty, applicant, Victoria Drive Associates LLC / Mark Christo, owner. Published, notice was published in Voices on January 20th and 27th, 2021. Copies and all related materials associated with the above matters are on file and available for viewing in the Monroe Planning and Zoning offices by appointment and on the town's website.
Thank you, Ryan. Rick, do you have the exhibits?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, exhibit number 1, application, exhibit number 2, narrative and property history, exhibit 3, plan set, exhibit 4, Naugatuck Valley Council of Government referral response, no comment. Exhibit 5, Metro Council of Governments referral response, no comments. Exhibit 6, Wetlands Agent notes regarding prior approvals recommendation. That is all.
Thank you, Rick. And whom do we have for the applicant tonight?
Good evening, members of the commission. For the record, my name is Kevin Soley. I'm a licensed professional engineer in the state of Connecticut with Soley Engineering. Office is located right here in Monroe at 501 Main Street. I'm going to share my screen. So Thank you for reading in the record all of the exhibits. We do have certified green cards for all of the return receipts, which we did receive and we will bring to the land use office. So we're here tonight to talk about the proposed or the property at 5 Victoria Drive. Just to orient everyone, here's an aerial of the town of Monroe. Our site is located just north of the town line of Trumbull. So just to orient everyone, here's Route 25 runs north-south. This site is located just over the town line. Coming up north, you have the former Vichy Vitremont property at 10 and 36 Main Street. Then you have Victoria Drive, which provides access to the Swiss Army corporate headquarters. And this site is just on the right-hand side as you're coming down Victoria Drive. So the commission may be familiar. I'm sure you're familiar with the site. It's currently improved with Ole soccer and an outdoor soccer field. The site recently went through some planning and zoning approvals within the past, I'd say 6 years or so, to permit and allow for Ole soccer to be constructed. What we are proposing, the site is currently zoned I3 and I1. So just to show the existing zoning map, you can see here, here's a portion, here's Victoria Drive. You can see the limit of the I3 zone, and then there's a small portion of the site that's I1. So this shows the actual limits of 5 Victoria Drive, with a portion being I3 and a portion being I1. We are proposing to change this to B2, which is the same zone of the former Vichy Vitremont parcel, 10 and 36 Main Street, and 2 Victoria Drive, which is opposite Victoria Drive. The impetus for the change is, in accordance with the POCD and encouragement for economic development. The B2 district provides for some additional commercial uses through both site plan and special exception permit, which offers a little more flexibility from a commercial standpoint, which aren't currently permitted in the I3 and the I1 district. We're working with a client who is a potential purchaser of the property, who is looking to potentially expand upon what's currently there. And with that activity, we're really looking for a way to kind of build in the maximum flexibility for that applicant as as we develop and refine potential concepts for what can be brought forward with that. And based on our review of the regulations, review of the POCD, and review of the best intended uses, we are requesting to change it from the industrial district to the business district. In accordance with the regulation requirements, we've provided copies of the sheet of title, previous approvals on the property as required, and a narrative to go along with our proposed zone change, which I just summarized for you. I think Rich summarized, as part of the zone change, there are requirements to submit to regional planning surrounding communities. I think we're very pleased to hear that there were no comments of substance. But we're happy to answer any questions the commission may have, but we feel that this change of zone will just allow for some additional opportunities to explore some more commercial uses than what's currently permitted within the I3 district. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that the commission may have.
Thank you, Mr. Solly. I'm going to poll commission right now. I will start with Commissioner Maini. Do you have any questions or comments?
Not right now, no.
Commissioner Condon,
No questions.
Commissioner Ambrosi,
So Kevin, you're just gonna connect that to the B2 that's up front? Is what you're
That's correct,
planning?
yeah. Yeah, well, we're essentially expanding the B2 district that exists in this area, and it would then also encompass the extent of 5 Victoria at this property here.
Okay, so that's all one parcel?
The parcel highlighted on the map in front of you, that's the extent of 5 Victoria Drive. That's
Right.
what we're proposing to change from I3 and I1 to B2.
Yeah.
There are separate fee other parcels owned by other people, 10 and 36 Main Street and 2 Victoria Drive. That's all B2. So we're essentially looking to expand that zone to our property at 5 Victoria.
I lost you.
Oh. I'm sorry, I'm not sure where I cut out. Yeah, but again, so this is just the limit of 5 Victoria. The existing adjacent parcels are zone B2, so we would just be expanding that zoning designation to include 5 Victoria Drive.
Okay, then how about on the Trumbull border there, those 2 parcels down there, the B1 and I1?
So this is B1 and I1, as I think the commission is aware. There's been recent activity from a permitting standpoint on this parcel for some mixed use development opportunities. The rear portion of that site, that's I1, there really isn't being anything proposed there other than parking, and there's some wetlands back here. So I don't think, this is again another piece of property independent from our application. But we aren't looking to do anything as part of on those properties as part of this application.
Yeah, because we only have like that little piece of B1 at the end there hanging out.
That's correct.
So, all right, well, I was just thought that maybe we would attach that all the way up, to make that all B2.
So since our client that's looking to change this zone, doesn't control those other 2 pieces, we didn't include them as part of the application. I would say that it's certainly something the commission may want to consider as they look at kind of zoning up and down the corridor to kind of expand the B2. I think you guys have already started to talk about, the need for B1 and B2 and how to consolidate that as part of the POCD. So I encourage the commission to continue those discussions. But for the purpose of our application, it's just limited to 5 Victoria Drive.
Okay. All right, that's all I have. Thanks.
Commissioner Condon?
Still no questions.
Am I going backwards? Commissioner Westland?
Yep.
Yeah, Mr. Solly, I was interested, what type of expansion is being considered from the current owner of the lot at this point?
So we have had some preliminary discussions, and I think we've actually come and spoken to the commission. We do have like a conceptual development plan, which I'm sharing with the commission now, which would essentially potentially be an expansion of the indoor recreation activity. But with this, they're considering possibly doing maybe like indoor concessions or something like this. And that isn't something that's permitted in the industrial district today. So that's actually what part of the impetus for seeking the zone change is under the business zone. The indoor recreation is a permitted use, but it also allows for some of those other, food type uses, which would kind of, again, give some additional flexibility. There is another application pending before the commission regarding parking requirements in the for indoor recreation, which will be before you, I think, in the next month or so. But this is conceptually, this is what may be forthcoming, provided that the zone change is approved, and some other elements are considered favorably by the commission and wetlands commission.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Commissioner Schneider?
No questions.
Commissioner Panici?
Question mark.
Was that a no?
No
And
questions, thanks.
Okay, thank you. I have no questions either. So Rick?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I did prepare a quick report at the end of today. The comments are as follows. As the applicant indicated, this is a 8.26 acre parcel which contains extensive wetlands and the Pequannock River. The parcel is located within the AE base floodplain and the AE floodway zones. Because of that, the site is very sensitive, and as Kevin indicated, the commercial B2 zone provides more flexibility in handling future expansion of the site versus the industrial. The property currently contains 3,500 square feet, a soccer facility with the outdoor field. The proposed zone change will allow the planned expansion of the site for additional indoor recreational facilities and potential commercial uses, which was just explained by Kevin. It opens the door for more activities which are conducive to this type of facility. The extension of the B2 district into this parcel will encourage business growth, which is consistent with the surrounding area. The site is accessed from Victoria Drive, which is a private street, which connects to Main Street Route 25. Property served by public water with adequate pressure for future growth. Property is currently served by a subsurface sewage disposal system, which can be expanded to future development. The future land use map in the 2010 POCD recommends this whole area for industrial use. When we get to the map with Francisco, obviously this whole area is not going to be industrial. We have the mixed use proposal right on the town line and the two other parcels of Vichay, which will probably be more retail oriented. And now you have this proposal going to a commercial zone. So clearly we need to look at the future land use map very clearly for this portion of the town. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Rick. Then I'm going to go to the public. If there are any members of the public here tonight that would like to comment on this application before us, please make yourselves known. Once again, are there any members of the public here tonight that would like to comment on this application before the commission? If not, then I'll take it back to Mr. Soley for concluding remarks and direction on the public hearing tonight.
So, again, I just want to thank the commission for the consideration. Again, we feel that the proposed zone change will provide for additional economic activity and expansion at the site and provide some additional flexibility for the developer from a commercial development standpoint. We think it is in accordance with the POCD and the existing regulations in terms of encouraging economic activity through here. The zone change won't have any adverse impact on any of the surrounding properties. It's an extension of an existing B2 district. And we do feel that it's an appropriate land use planning exercise to consider the zone change, and we greatly appreciate the commission's consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Solly. Then would you like to close the hearing?
We would, yes.
All right, if there are no other questions from the commissioners or staff, that will be closing this hearing. Next on the agenda, number 10, is SEP 21. You're welcome. SEP 2021-03, file number 1628A, 74 Enterprise Drive. Ryan, do you have the notice?
I do. Planning and Zoning Commission, Monroe, Connecticut, notice of public hearing to be held February 4th, 2021, in accordance with CGS 8-7D. A public hearing will be held on Thursday, February 4th, 2021 at 7 p.m. or soon thereafter via GoToMeeting or by phone. SEP 2021-03, file number 1628A, 74 Enterprise Drive, special exception permit application for proposed second phase consisting of construction of building expansion, site improvements, and proposed uses pursuant to previously approved SEP 2019-05, file number 1613, for a property located at 74 Enterprise Drive, Assessors map 94, lots 15 and 13, in the Industrial 2 District. MMI of Monroe, Mary E. Infante, owner and applicant. Notice was published twice in Voices on January 20th and 27th, 2021. Copies of all related materials and associated with the above matters are on file and available for viewing in the Monroe Planning and Zoning offices by appointment and on the town's website.
Thank you, Ryan. Rick, do you have exhibits?
Yes, I do, Mr. Chairman. We have Exhibit 1, application and supporting materials. 2, site development plans. 3, town engineer report. 4, certified mailing receipts. And that is all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Rick. And who do we have for the applicant here tonight?
Mr. Chairman, my name is Dave Bjorklund. I'm president of the firm of Spath Bjorklund Associates, and we have offices in Monroe. On this particular application this evening, we would ask the commission that this application be approved. It was the same one that was approved by the commission on August 2nd in 2019. There have been no changes in any of the conditions. As Mr. Schultz indicated, and we would like to have this approved for another 5 years, noting for the record that the uses that were approved in August of 2019 continue on. They are not subject to this procedure, and that what the commission is really approving going forward is just the site plan, so that we can continue this for another 5 years. The inland wetlands approval of the same application is still outstanding. That will come up for approval, the Wetlands Commission, next week. So there's really no action the commission can take this evening, but at your next meeting, I expect that we will have inland wetlands approval, and we can move forward with an approval to give this applicant another 5 years to complete this project. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Bjorklund. I'm going to poll the commission for questions. Commissioner Maini,
No questions.
Commissioner Condon,
No questions.
Commissioner Ambrosi.
Yeah, Dave, I just was wondering, did Mr. Fonte, did he take care of all the violations that he had on the property?
Yes, he has taken care of the violations.
Right, so then we don't have any violations on the property that's standing right now, Rick?
That is correct. Joe Chapman has cleared the site with violations.
Okay. So that's fine, because we've been trying to work with Mr. Fonte on this, and as long as he's taking care of the violations, I don't see why we can't move along with this plan.
Commissioner Westland,
Nope, looks good. No questions.
Commissioner Schneider,
No questions either.
Commissioner Panici. I have no questions either. Thank you, Mr. Infante, for bringing that property up to code. I'm going to go to the members of the public, if any are here tonight, for questions or comments. Are there any members of the public here tonight that would like to comment on this application before us? Hearing none, once again, are there any members of the public here tonight that would like to comment on this application? Hearing none, then as we are still waiting for inland wetlands, we will continue this public hearing until the next regularly scheduled meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
18th, Mr. Chairman.
February 18th. Thank you. The last public hearing tonight, number 11 on the agenda, SCP 2016-12A2, file number 1528A, 164 Enterprise Drive. Ryan, do you have the notice?
I don't believe I do.
Maybe Rick has it.
No, Ryan, you should have it.
Hi, guys. This is Georgia. Sorry. This application was a permit modification, so it actually was not run in the paper as it is not required for those.
Perfect.
Okay. Then Rick, do you have exhibits?
Yeah, I have the exhibits. Thank you, Georgia, for clarifying that. Exhibits 3, ARB recommendation letter. Exhibit 4, engineering. Exhibit number 5, inland wetland agent approval. That is all.
Thank you. And for the applicant, I believe we have Mr. Soley.
Yes. Hi, good evening. This is Mary Blackburn. Oh, hold on, echo.
We can't hear you at all, Kevin.
Kevin, we can't hear you.
Yeah, Kevin, for some reason, nothing.
There we go. Now you can probably hear me. I'm sorry. So for the record, my name's Kevin Soley, licensed professional engineer in the state of Connecticut with Soley Engineering. With me here this evening is actually Mary Blackburn from my office, who's going to run through some of the technical, more detailed aspects of the presentation. But essentially, we're here for a minor modification to a previously approved project for a new industrial building at 164 Enterprise Drive in Monroe. So I'm going to hand it over to Mary, but I'm here to answer any questions. But I'm sure Mary will also be able to take care of those for you. So thank you.
Good evening, and for the record, my name is Mary Blackburn. I'm a registered landscape architect in the state of Connecticut with Solely Engineering. So as Kevin said, this is a permit modification for a previously approved site plan. It was approved in 2010, and then we actually have another permit modification that was approved in 2017. And just to give you some context, we have Monroe. So it's for two properties, 154 and 164 Enterprise Drive. And here's the property. 154 being to the south and 164 being to the north. So actually go back. So this was before development and before the previous approval. The previous approval was for two industrial flex spaces, one building at 154 Enterprise and one at 164 Enterprise. Since that approval, 154 has been constructed and occupied, and this is what that looks like today. And then a view from the north looking south. So this was a previously approved site plan. This is, as you can see, 154, the one we just saw the pictures of. We have the entry drive, the constructed building with the parking in front and parking and storage in the back. And this was 164's previously approved plan. Very similar building to the constructed building on 154, entry drive, parking in the front and the side, and storage in the back. So it's really minor modifications as part of this application. You can see this is the proposed site plan. What's really being proposed is to change the building footprint to accommodate loading spaces in the back of the building. It's really only increasing the gross floor area by 200 square feet. We're actually proposing to remove the fueling bay, which used to be located here next to the dumpster. And we were previously overparked by 2 spaces. We're proposing to remove those 2 spaces, which were right here at the southeast corner of the building, to accommodate truck turning. And then this area in the back was previously all gravel, and we're proposing about 1,300 square feet of additional pavement to also accommodate truck turning. Here we have the previously approved grading plan. And then the modified grading plan was just modified to provide 3% slope away from the building based on the new footprint. And footing drains were added at the back of the loading area. Here we have the previously approved landscape plan. And very minor modifications. We just moved the plants in this island as this island moved with the elimination of the 2 spaces. And the lighting plan, same thing, all the site lighting remains the same. And just some of the heights of the fixtures on the building were revised based on the new building footprint, as you can see here. But same total number of fixtures, and all the pole fixtures are remaining unchanged. And here we have a rendering of what the proposed building would look like. Proposed just to match the constructed building at 154. And again, this is 154 to give you an idea of what the materials are all going to look like. And this is a rendering of the rear of the 164 building with the truck well. And here we have the footprints for the new building. You have the office space in the front, and then the flex storage and industrial space in the back. And with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
If that concludes your presentation, then we'll go to questions. Start with Commissioner Mayini.
I don't have any questions. It's pretty much the same. It's pretty much the same thing we approved before. I mean, it looks great to me. I mean, it's fine. No questions.
Commissioner Condon.
No questions.
Commissioner Ambrosi.
No questions.
Commissioner Westland.
Yeah, with the additional impervious areas in the front of the building now, are the landscape and stormwater drainage requirements still being met?
The only additional paved area is in the back of the building with the turnaround. It was, let's get the plan here.
Okay, I misunderstood. I thought you were saying some of the area in the front was going to be taken off too.
Nope, this is all remaining the same. So it's just this 1,300 square feet.
Yes.
And it was previously gravel, so it didn't increase any runoff or anything. We did
This is
these.
just more pavement for turnaround purposes only.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
And just for the record, I'll add, we have gone through and received approval for an update for this modification with the Wetlands Commission. We also have a positive referral from ARB. We've gone through that review with the town engineer, with Scott, and he was comfortable with our analysis. He was actually overly conservative with our original approval, so it didn't, even though we added some asphalt in the back, it didn't change our drainage calculations in any way, so we're still in compliance with the original approval.
Thank you, Mr. Sully.
Commissioner Schneider.
No questions.
Commissioner Panici.
Just one question. On removing those 2 extra parking spaces, you're still in compliance, right?
Yes, we
Yeah,
were previously overparked and now we are.
All right, thank you.
So the last I heard, the inland wetlands was still pending on this. Is that correct, Rick?
No, oh,
No, we received the inland wetlands agent permit.
Okay. So it's not. Then I'm going to go to the members of the public tonight. If there are any members of the public here tonight that would like to comment on this application before the commission, this is your time to make yourself noticed. Hearing none, once again, if there are any members of the public here tonight that would like to comment on this application, please make yourself noted. Okay. If not, then I'll take it back to Mr. Solly for summation and directions.
We appreciate the commission's consideration. Again, this is a very minor modification to a previously approved plan. As Mary presented, the only real change is the addition of a loading dock towards the rear and a minor reconfiguration of the overall building footprint. All other aspects of the approval are still the same as they were previously. So with this, the previous approval was obviously in accordance with the zoning regs and the POCD. And we, respectfully request an approval, and we thank the commission for their consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Solly. If there are no other members of the commissions with questions, I'll go ahead and close this public hearing. Next on the agenda is the site development plan. Number 12, it is at 200 Monroe Turnpike, LOR District, Aquarian Water. It is SDP 2020-04, file number 144, and SDP 2021-01, file number 146. Rick, do we have any? I know we do have some new exhibits.
For this application, we have the inland wetlands, that is all. And I have prepared a resolution if the commission is ready.
Okay, do we have that? And any presentation from the applicant here tonight?
No, I think they did their summation at the last meeting.
All right, then we can close the hearing, correct?
Yeah, that's been closed, yeah. This is.
I didn't know it was closed. All right, so then we have it closed.
Directed staff to write a favorable resolution.
All right, so that ends the public hearing and the portion of tonight's meeting. We'll move on to deliberation and determinations. Number 13, we have minutes, pending meeting minutes from January 21st, 2021. I believe you all have the minutes before you. The chair will entertain a motion to accept the minutes as drafted.
I'll make a motion.
I make a motion to accept them. You got me.
January 21st, 2021.
A motion, and that sounds like a second. Motion and a second. Are there any discussion tonight of the January 21st minutes?
Mr. Chairman, we do need to make that correction regarding actually what you just did for the Aquarian applications. They were not closed, but because they're theoretically not public hearings, it doesn't need to be formal, but it was reflected in the minutes that they were closed at the last meeting, which they were not, pending the wetlands decision.
I believe we have wetlands on them, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Right,
the minutes reflect that it was still open, so we need to include that as an amendment to the minutes, that the previous meeting for the Aquarian applications were not closed.
And we'll change the minutes and we closed it tonight.
Thank you.
May I speak?
Yes.
Are we going to have an approval on file 146 for the solar project?
Well, who's speaking?
Mark McGinley from US Green Technologies.
Well, I hope we're going to have an approval. I think we're going to deliberate on it soon and then vote.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, back to the minutes. Do we have any other comments, changes to the minutes? If not, I'll poll the commission on last month's meeting. It was O'Reilly. I'm going to vote yes. There's Mayini
Yes.
on the minutes. Condon,
Yes.
Ambrosi,
Yes.
and Westland.
Yes.
The yeses have it. The minutes are accepted. We next have pending applications, review, determinations, and deliberations. So we can deliberate on these tonight and get through. Let's start with the easy ones. We'll start with the Aquarian Water Company, 200 Monroe Turnpike. Staff has drafted an approval for this. Let me find it here. There's two approvals, the SDP 2021-01 and SDP 2021-04. So we're going to open this for deliberation tonight. And I'm going to go poll the commissioners on if they have any questions, anything you'd like to talk about on this application. And if you're leaning towards approval, denial, please keep in mind that the application is closed. We cannot speak with the applicant. And those alternate members are not supposed to participate in deliberation. All right, so let's go with Commissioner Mayini.
I'm in favor. It's good.
Commissioner Condon.
Yep, I'm good to approve it.
Commissioner Ambrosi.
I'm good, Mike.
And Commissioner Westland.
I'm leaning to approve both.
All right, so then we're going to vote. I think we actually have to vote on them separately. Is that right, Rick?
That is correct.
We have to do a roll call vote.
Yes.
All right, then we'll start with the first application, SDP 2020-04. This is for the expansion of the parking lot with the additional 12 parking spaces in front of the existing building, including related stormwater management, sidewalks, lighting, and landscaping improvements. This site development plan was closed tonight. And I'm going to call the roll for approval. We'll start with the
Hey, Mike, not to be a pain, but do we have to make a motion to approve it?
Yes.
I think we did that already, but
No,
I'm not sure.
oh, we didn't do that.
Mr. Chairman, we need a motion still.
All right.
Yeah,
And I
we
will,
have a resolution. Yeah.
entertain a motion to accept SDP 2020-04.
I make a motion to approve SDP 2020-04, file number 144.
And I
Second.
need have a motion and I have a second. Then we will vote. Commissioner Westland,
Yes.
Ambrosi,
Yes.
Condon,
Yes.
Mayini,
Yes.
O'Reilly, yes. The ayes have it. 5-0. Going to move on to SDP 2021-01. Chair will accept a motion to approve SDP 2021-01.
I make a motion to approve SDP 2021-01, file number 146.
I have a motion. I have a second. We're going to call the roll. Westland,
Yes.
Ambrosi,
Yes.
Condon,
Yes.
Mayini,
Yes.
And O'Reilly, yes. Unanimous. SCP 2021-01 has been approved as drafted. Moving along, we have SCP 2020-055 file number 1625A 615 Main Street. This is Eastern Jungle Gym. I believe we also have an SCP draft approval. The chair will entertain a motion to accept this approval.
I make a motion to accept SEP 2020-05 file 16258 as drafted.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none.
No, sir.
Call the roll. Westland,
Yes.
Ambrosi,
Yes.
Condon,
Yes.
Mayini,
Yes, sir.
O'Reilly, yes. Going to move on to the affordable housing. RA 2020-07, ZCA 2020-04, and SDP 2020-05. That was closed tonight. We do have the option of deliberating on this tonight. Are there any objections since it's early from the commissioner to deliberating on this?
Let's deliberate.
Let's do
Mr.
it.
Chairman,
Yes,
Mr.
Rich.
Chairman, do you want me to write up a formal resolution like I did for the others? Your call.
Yeah, at the end, at the end of the deliberation, we'll do that.
Yeah, you'll direct me to write up a favorable. Okay.
Hopefully
When
favorable.
we done, vote on it in the next meeting, Mike?
Yes, we will vote on it at the next meeting.
Okay.
So let's talk about it. We'll start with Commissioner Panici. This is now, wait a minute now. I don't think you were seated, so I don't think you can deliberate.
Yeah.
Dominic, so it only has to be the 5 seated members, sorry.
Correct, thank you.
So let's go with Rob Westland.
Yeah, no, I have no problem with this at all. I think it's a great addition to the town. It's been thoughtfully laid out, and I think it'll be architecturally a nice feature on our main corridor.
Great, Commissioner Ambrosi.
Yeah, Mike, are they gonna put sidewalks in front of that?
Yes, they agreed to the sidewalks.
All right, and then,
Yeah, that's in the engineering report, Lan.
yeah, I was looking for that. I didn't find it, but they agreed to do that?
Yes.
All right, because I didn't discuss it with them, and I'm good with it. I think that they done a good job at it.
Commissioner Condon.
Yeah, at first I was concerned about 3 floors, but then looking at the design, it almost hides the 3rd floor. I'm okay with it. I'd move for an approval.
Okay, Commissioner Mayini.
I'm all for it. Looks great to me.
Okay, I am as well, and the good thing about this is it increases the percent of our housing stock that is affordable. So we're slowly creeping towards that 10% level. I think this brings us up 0.5%. So if it's okay with all of you, we'll direct the staff to draft an approval.
Monroe's making moves, Mike.
Yes. On all 3 of those applications.
Do we have to make a motion to draft an approval letter, or do we just tell Rick to make an approval letter?
I think we can just tell him.
Yeah, the chairman directed me, yeah.
All right.
Great. Let's move on then to 5 Victoria Drive, which we just heard. 5 Victoria Drive is a zone boundary change petition application proposing rezoning of the property located at 5 Victoria Drive. That's Ole Soccer. Most of us are familiar with that application that we approved last year. Looks like they want to change the zone, which would be changing it to a zone that is contiguous with it, the B2, probably because they want the concessions. So again, for deliberations, we have the seated members only. And I'll start with Commissioner Westland.
No, I lean towards an approval. I think the operations of the current owner are good and they're going to help complement his existing business.
Okay, Commissioner Ambrosi.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with the change in the zone. I'd like to bring that zone all the way down so that's those two little pieces aren't like one's B1 and the other one's I1, I think, right, Rick?
Yes.
So I think that we should look at that down the road so we can make that, instead of having that little piece just sitting there.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Condon.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Commissioner Mayini.
All good.
All right, then I will direct staff to draft an approval for 5 Victoria Drive.
And Mr. Chairman,
Rick.
I will direct Francisco for the future land use map to designate that area to commercial, because right now it's all industrial, okay? So that'll be
Okay.
consistent.
All right, then next on the
Mike,
deliberations.
and Mike,
Yes.
Mike, it's Bruno. That's not something we can just, because it's a zone change and there's not really much to it, that's not something we can just approve tonight and just staff write it up?
No, I need to write it up, Bruno, yeah.
You have to write it first?
Yes. For zone
And then we
changes,
gotta vote on, then we gotta vote, and then we gotta vote on it in 2 weeks?
on the 18th, that is correct.
This is what we talked about in subcommittee. This is the stuff that slows us down, but all right, whatever.
Next application is 164 Enterprise Drive. We're going to deliberate on that tonight. That has been closed tonight. That's the one we just heard. SCP 2016. There's some minor modifications to the paving in the rear of the building, grading and landscaping. Let's start with Commissioner Westland. Do you have any thoughts?
No comments. I'm good to approve it.
Commissioner Ambrosi.
I'm good with it, Mike.
Commissioner Condon.
I'm good with it.
Commissioner Mayini.
All good.
And I'm as well. We will direct staff to draft an approval for 164 Enterprise Drive.
Mr. Chairman, on this one, I do have a draft prepared. The zone change, that's what involved. So I do have something I can read into the record if you want me to proceed on the approval.
We can vote on it, correct. Go ahead.
Yes, this is what we discussed at the subcommittee.
Good job, Rick. Well done.
I have to thank Georgia. We put our minds together because I had a draft in Shelton and she used one in Newtown. So we came up with a form that I think that will be satisfactory. It reads application SCP 2016-12A, file number 1582A, property address 164 Enterprise Drive. This was the phase 2 of that development area. Be it resolved by the Monroe P&Z Commission that SCP application modification for SCP 2016-12A 15828 164 Enterprise Drive, last revised 12/7/2020 with the following standard conditions. The existing $20,000 bond is adequate to cover the application as determined by the town engineer. Application fails to complete all required conditions for final submission within 100 days, this approval shall become null and void. This application shall become null and void if construction site improvements are not completed within 5 years. Revisions and modifications are to be reviewed by staff and may require action by the commission. Be it further resolved, the commission, in accordance with the SCP amendment modification, a phase 2 development SCP modification shall be approved, and a legal notice shall be provided in the newspaper. And be it further resolved upon motion by, we need a motion and a second, and then a roll call, Mr. Chairman, and then we are all set.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the 164 Enterprise Drive with conditions as presented into the minutes by Mr. Schultz.
I make a motion to approve SEP 2016-12-A2 file 1528A 164 Enterprise Drive as drafted with conditions by Mr. Schultz.
Second.
Have a motion and I have a second.
I just have one question. Mike, I just have one question.
Go ahead, Leon.
Do we have that approval in front of us here or no?
No, I have this. I am going to shoot out this form so you all have it and you can mark it up while I'm reading it.
Okay. All right.
This is a pretty simple one, Leon, as you know, because it's just.
No, I had that because I got the other ones. I just didn't get that one that you were just talking about.
We just finalized this for tonight to have it ready in case you were so inclined to do so.
Okay, that's all I want to know.
All right, Chair has a motion and a second. I'm going to call the roll for the sitting commissioners. Commissioner Westland?
Yes.
Commissioner Ambrosi?
Yes.
Commissioner Condon?
Yes.
Commissioner Mayini?
Yes, sir.
And O'Reilly is a yes. The yeses have it. We will hereby approve 164 Enterprise Drive. All right, the final application for tonight's deliberations is ZCA 2020-03, the Stevenson Lumber property. We just closed the zone change. However, at our last meeting, we closed the, was it an SEP? I think it was an SEP. So we can deliberate on both of those applications, pretty much treat them as one, although we will have to vote on them individually. So Rick was kind enough to send out topics for discussion during deliberation tonight on the Stevenson Business District. As you know, those of you who are at the POCD meeting the other night, we did talk about how a floating zone or a special district would be the way to go in the future for parcels like this. And that's what this is. This is a special zone. The language in this is such that it could be modified to be used in other areas of the town if we so desire to do that. But I believe it is going down the right road, and I believe this is the way to deal with these large commercial areas. So let me see, where are we here? So we're going to deliberate tonight on these. And of course, it's going to be the 5 seated commissioners only.
Does it have to do with your thing? No, it does.
So to me, it looks like a winning approval, but that's only me. So let's go through the commissioners for some comments. Commissioner Mayini.
Yeah, Mike, I'm not in favor of this at all. I don't think this is the best use of this property whatsoever. The commercial parking, scares me. The fact of not redoing the parking lot scares me. Right next to the watershed scares me. There's a lot of things in this that I don't like, and I'm not in favor.
So we can impose conditions of approval. So you can change it. If you
I'm
like.
not in favor of. I don't know. In planning, we have to plan for the future, and I understand that this, as of today, may be the way to go. Unfortunately, in my eyes, and I may be wrong, and I don't know what the other commissioners want, but in my eyes, I'm not in favor of the zone change. I think the text amendment. I think there's better uses for this property. I understand it's been sitting for a while, and again, it may not be a popular decision by what I'm saying, but I would love to hear what the other commissioners have to say. Unfortunately, I am not in favor of this at all.
Okay, then we'll continue down the line. Commissioner Condon.
Yeah, so, some commissioners were part of the commission, I think almost 2 years ago, when they came in front of us with a very robust zone idea to kind of, originally they wanted this to be everything. And at that time, some commissioners proposed that we potentially work on shopping that and bringing it down, but at the time it got shut down and we sent it back to them to do it on their own, to work within the subcommittee and slowly kind of shrink this down. So I mean, it's not being rushed. It's been 2 years at least where we've been discussing this. I understand that there are some aspects that Bruno doesn't like. I haven't heard from everyone else yet. I'm definitely not for saying no on this and shutting it down. I think a lot of work's gone into it, and I think if we were to discuss, Bruno doesn't like commercial parking, maybe we should discuss removing that, and hash it out and continue to work on this, because I think there is good framework. I think it's going to be real usable, and I think it's something that can help revitalize that property that is just sitting there slowly decaying, and just people are complaining constantly. Back when we were having meetings in person, people were coming in front of us talking about buildings on 25 and 111 that are falling apart and just sitting there. So I'm for moving forward with this application. I'm totally okay with discussing aspects of it and conditions, but I would want to move forward with approving it, both applications.
Okay, well, good. Then we will continue discussing it. So next I'm going to ask Commissioner Ambrosi, how do you feel about imposing conditions, accepting it, or rejecting it?
Well, I have an issue with the commercial parking part of it. I have always had an issue with the commercial parking of it because I wasn't sure, it goes throughout the whole property. It's not in one section of the property. It basically goes throughout the whole property. And if for some reason that the property gets subdivided, all the commercial parking would be throughout the whole property. And so I have an issue with the commercial parking. I mean, we worked on this with John, and I always had an issue with the commercial parking because I just, Newtown has an issue with it. There's a couple other people have an issue with it because of it's so close to the waterway there that, I have an issue with that. So we would have to, like Trout Unlimited has an issue with it. And so, that's the commercial parking to me is puts a dampener on it for me because I just don't, like you say, that if the property is going to be developed as one piece and then that this commercial is going to be in one section of the property, but I don't know that that's going to happen. And I asked the applicant about it and he said that they may subdivide it. So if they do subdivide it, then that commercial aspect goes throughout the whole property.
It does have a setback though, and it does have requirements for proper screening. Just
Right, but it could turn into be a big construction site.
yeah.
And that's
I'm
so
okay. Sorry,
We
Leon.
can
I'm
always,
okay with scratching it because originally they came in front of us saying they wanted it because they didn't have any potential businesses looking to move in, and it was a way to make money. But he,
Right.
you know, maybe he shouldn't have, but he just came to us and said that he has a letter of intent already. So it looked like some of this property is looking to move, and that's not regarding the parking, it's other things. So I'd be okay removing the, you know, if that really is the approval, I'd be okay striking the commercial parking and moving forward with every other opportunity in here and hopefully seeing some development. I don't know. What do you guys think?
like let's I'd like to hear from the rest of the commissioners, and then we have to come up with some kind of a thing to approve this, but that's going to change the rest of his application on his other thing. So, you know, I'm not sure because we closed that tonight too, right?
yes. So Rob, how about you? What's your thoughts?
Well, in response to some of the other comments, you know, I think the screening that was brought up is limited because of the topography of the land. So I'm a little concerned that this area with this commercial parking is going to be very visible as you're going up the hill or coming down the hill. I think it's going to be hard to screen that area. I think we all realize, especially in the winter when there's no leaves on the trees, we're going to have a pretty clear shot of what's going on in that area. And listen, revitalizing this lot, this property, I mean, I'm all for it, but I got to ask myself the question, is this an effort to revitalize it? I'm not so sure. Also, high concerns about the commercial parking. I expressed my concern early on that. It brings a host of concerns from the drainage and the amount of impervious area. There's all kinds of potential problems with that. You know, adopting the special district zone, I'm a fan of that. I just, at this point, I don't know. I don't know if this is really being put to the best use, you know, to get this started as far as adopting the special district zone. So I'm not so sure that this is being put to the right use, and I'm not a fan of the commercial parking.
So Rick.
Yes, go ahead.
Can we strike out the commercial parking facility?
Absolutely.
Condition of approval.
The document that I gave you under B lists all of the principal uses. Commercial parking is number one. So if the consensus is to eliminate it, that gets scratched.
All right, well, it sounds like most of the commissioners want to eliminate the commercial parking as a use. All right, so that being said, how do you feel, Bruno, about the application without the commercial parking?
Still not in love, but definitely better.
Leon, how do you feel about it without commercial parking?
My main concern, Mike, was the commercial parking.
Right.
I mean, we discussed this in the subcommittee with Mr. Kimball and everything like that, and that I want to revitalize property, and I was all for it. The only problem I had was the commercial parking, because what he said was he basically, when we talked about it in the meeting, that he was just going to use that as like an accessory use until he got this thing up and going. He was going to remove the commercial parking. But once we put the commercial parking on that lot, and that we own it, and it's going to be there. So, I mean, I don't know how the rest of the commissioner members feel about it, and I don't know if, because we didn't do this zone change, Mr. Kimball applied for this zone change. So can we approve it with conditions, or can we remove stuff, Rick? Or does the whole thing have to be denied? Can we make up our own?
Absolutely. You can do 4 things: approve it as is, approve it with modification,
Okay.
deny it.
Yeah.
3 things, right? You can do 3 ways.
All right, well, it sounds like commercial parking is going to be eliminated as a use. Bruno, do you have any other concerns with the uses?
Mr. Chairman, you want me to list them?
Yeah, we
Okay,
have a
everyone
list.
should have the list.
Okay.
So why don't we go over them one time at a time, Mike? Then it'll be easier that way.
List them again.
Go ahead, Rick.
Okay, first one, commercial parking facility. 2, indoor cultivation facility. 3, manufacturing, processing, and assembly of products. 4, business service facilities. 5, bakery, wholesale. 6, commercial warehouse contained within building. 7, self-storage warehousing or rental within building. 8, wholesale and distribution centers, not including automobiles and boats.
Does anyone else feel strongly about eliminating any of these uses?
The storage facility.
Self-storage warehousing?
Just the self-storage. Unless that could be limited to a certain specific area.
It's within the building.
It's within a building.
Right. It can't
I thought we talked about one time having self-storage on the outside, like
with the parking.
That falls
I thought they talked about having outdoor self-storage like U-Store and stuff like that, like those major companies having lockers outside and people could pull up into the, unless I misunderstood. I could be totally wrong on this one. But I thought there was a time they discussed having like storage lockers outside, like.
Rick,
I guess I'm wrong because I thought.
Bruno, do you mean outside access or do you mean?
No,
yes, outside access to it. Right, like you put like you get like a 10 by 10 storage locker, but you could be outside, not going inside a building to get to it.
Like a motel versus a hotel. Okay.
Yeah, I could be wrong again. I mean,
we have that happening now over on off Pepper Street with that.
But we have buildings like that within town. I understand.
Yeah.
I don't. Just saying that was. I mean, I guess that's kind of. No,
Bruno,
I'm good with everything.
All of the uses are SCPs, so you get to review each application when it comes in through a public hearing process, including architecture.
I can be sold on pretty much everything else. Definitely not the commercial parking.
All right, good. How about Leon? Are you okay with the other uses?
Yeah, the only other question, what's the indoor cultivation? Is there just certain things on that we can allow, or how does that go?
Was that when they were talking about hydroponics?
Yes,
yes,
food
related.
related.
Talking about that.
Food related?
Yeah.
All right.
It's vegetables and herbs. Yeah.
Right, not marijuana use or anything like that. Right?
Yep.
Not for marijuana or anything like that.
That's specifically prohibited.
Nothing like that.
Our regulations prohibit anything to do with marijuana while the federal statutes are in existence.
Okay. No, because I know that's what we had, so I wasn't sure if that would go with this. Unless that changed, then he would be able to do that with an indoor cultivation, right? But the commission would have to change that, right?
We would have to add it too, because right now it's specifically listed in our zoning law. Marijuana is not allowed. You can grow hemp, can't grow marijuana.
Right. I don't have any problem with the rest of the uses, Mike, and I never did. The only one I had was a commercial parking, and I think couple of the other commissioners, or I don't know about you, if you, Mike, had a problem with the commercial parking or not, because we haven't heard from you about that.
Well, I wasn't crazy about it either, but as you yourself mentioned, that was one of the leading proposals when there were no other takers. And we felt like, well, that might be okay, just to get something in there.
Right.
Rob, how do you feel about the other uses?
Yeah, I'm fine with the other uses, you know, like you said, we have to review each and every one of them before they go in there, and we're safeguarded with the indoor cultivation. I was in the regulations book last night, making sure of that is clearly stated. I'm good. I'm good with all that. I didn't like the commercial parking from the beginning, and I'm glad to hear that you know, we can potentially approve this conditionally.
Oh, that sounds
I'd like to be,
Go ahead,
I'd like to be clear on something too. I understand that we can say we have letters of intent and we have all that kind of stuff. Like those are beautiful. I could have, you know, we need to understand what we're approving. We need to not say, oh, well, they're talking about a potential X. Well, because at the end of the day, me, Rob, Ryan, Mike, none of us are in those meetings. We don't know what's said. We don't know any of that stuff. So for someone to come to you and say, hey, I have a letter of intent, that's phenomenal. At one time, I was a college baseball player, believe it or not. And I could tell you I had 500 letters of intent to play college baseball. Guess what? I didn't. I had one. I had two. Sorry, I had two. But I can tell you as many as I want. So at the end of the day, let's just stick to the plan part and what we want in there and not just go with there's a potential for something. So that's, and that doesn't include this applicant. This includes every applicant that we look at. We need to plan these things, and we need to be smarter with that kind of stuff overall in general. And that's not just this application. That's every application that comes in front of us.
I totally agree.
I'm off my soapbox.
It's completely indifferent to us. You know, it's good to hear, but it really doesn't matter. We're approving a use, a zone change.
All right, Rick. Well, it sounds like the commissioners are okay to direct you to draft an approval with that one major change, not to include commercial parking facility as a use.
Okay.
All right, great. So,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
so
George?
we have a request to draft an approval excluding the commercial parking regarding the regulation text amendment. Are you also asking staff to draft an approval on the master plan zone change application given those changes?
Yes, both applications.
Thank you.
Okay, well, that's great. We did 7 applications in under 2 hours, 7 public hearings.
Move right along.
Good work. All right, so we'll move on to number 15, regulation review amendment work session. Rick, did you send out the recommendations or the?
Yes, I did. I redlined it. You have the redlined version.
Everyone got that?
Well, I sent it to the subcommittee. You want me? I'll send it to the full commission now with your authorization.
All right, so the subcommittee, just to let everyone else know what we're working on, there are a number of issues that have come up, some having to do with COVID-19, specifically outdoor dining that we'd like to streamline the approval process for, basically. But once we firm them up, we'll bring them back to the full commission for approval. That's all we're working on in regulation subcommittee. I don't have any correspondence.
Mike, when are we going to have our next subcommittee meeting?
Well, we haven't chosen the time for that yet.
Because, right, Rick, you got to get a couple things together for us, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm ready. But we should be meeting soon.
Okay, that's all I want to know.
All right. We have the chairman's report, which
I'm sorry, Mike. Mike, are we gonna set a, Mike, are we gonna set a subcommittee meeting date or not this meeting? We'll do it next meeting?
Yeah, I don't think Rick has any dates in mind. Do you?
No, I'll give you a call, Mike.
Right.
And we'll work on
Okay.
dates.
And I'll text everyone like I did the last time for dates.
Thank you.
Are there any commissioners that would like to report on anything? All right, then Rick, land use staff report.
Okay, I sent out the revised meeting schedule for the POCD update. We have to move fast. The state and the town clerk's office has to receive the drafts by March 12th. Now, having said that, by next week, well, February 12th, we have to submit the draft to the town council and submission to MetroCog. On March 12th, as I just indicated, it's got to be posted on the town's website, copy in the town clerk's office, and submitted to OPM. The March 12th is the date that the state gave us, which includes the extension period because of COVID. And then the week of April 19th, we'll have a public hearing on the adoption. So a lot of work has to be done. Francisco is committed. And as soon as we get the draft document, you need to look at it and tweak it and proof it and edit it. Once again, like tonight, I came up with the Victoria Drive area. The old 2010 shows that industrial land use. And clearly, we're changing that. The Stevenson lumber, that is in retail commercial, so that's fine. But the future land use component is very important. Also, too, I want to report that the Conservation Commission has been working very diligently to get the open space plan done. That's an important component, as Mike knows, in the POCD. So they are moving full ahead on that. We've been working with MetroCog and Francisco as well. So a lot of things are taking place as we speak, and I'll get the draft to you as soon as I get it. But you have to look at it because we want to adopt it at the April 19th meeting.
Okay. Anything else, Rick?
That's it, and I'll be talking to the chairman on the next zoning subcommittee meeting date. And Leon, I did send it to town attorney, and I talked to the town of Trumbull on the outside storage. Everyone is different, Leon. You were right, but most of the towns do not restrict it based on percentage of floor area. That was unique to Monroe. But most of them do allow it to the side of the principal building and to the rear, as long as it's done neatly, it's anchored correctly and buffered correctly.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
You did a good job on Jungle Gym. You see where the outdoor storage area is going. It's going to the side and to the rear.
All right, if there is not any other business, then I would like to thank Georgia and Sarah and all the other members of the commission. And the chair would now entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
A motion, have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Aye.